Pilots, what's better than just one new color scheme on one of your favorite aircraft? Two new versions of the Havok Racer are officially here on MotionRC.com. Let's check these things out. Whoa, they're out. Look at that. Man, these are some good looking paint jobs on these new airplanes. All right, now that we have the Havoks out of the box and in their flight stands ready to be assembled, we need to go over one thing. If you get yours and it does not have a manual, both of mine did not come with one, they are available on MotionRC.com on the product page where you ordered the aircraft. So if you're wanting a manual to build along with, aside from just our video, that's where you're gonna get it from. Tech specs and features of the Havok Racer. This model comes with a machine aluminum spinner. The Havok is an easy aircraft to do hand tosses with. You do about a half throttle and this thing effortlessly flies out of your hand. You have 9-gram metal gear servos with ball link linkages all the way around this aircraft for maximum strength. The forward section of the fuselage is completely plastic cladded to help against damage in landings. You have a reinforced motor mount and main wing in case pilots want an experiment with mods of making this aircraft faster. It is a completely glueless assembly. And of course, it has a full spare parts availability here at MotionRC.com and backed by the best customer service in the industry. The wingspan of the Havok Racer is 1,000 millimeters or 39.37 inches. The length is 880 millimeters or 34.64 inches. The power system is a powerful 3542 1600 kV brushless motor. Powering that motor is a 70 amp ESC with thrust reversing. The propeller is a 7.8 by 7 two-bladed propeller, and the recommended battery is a 4-cell 14.8 volt 2200 to 3000 milliamp LiPo battery with XT60 connector. All right, so for the first thing in the process, let's talk about what you're gonna need to actually get your Skynetic Racer assembled. So I can't recommend enough, you get a 1.5 millimeter Allen key screwdriver. These are available right here at MotionRC.com. We have them in our MIP brand and in our Benchcraft brand, but if you're gonna choose one, I highly recommend these MIPs. These are phenomenal, phenomenal drivers. Now, this next tool is more of a luxury, but I highly recommend getting a set of forceps, especially when you're putting small components onto these aircrafts. It really helps hold it with this instead of your fingers to not drop them. So another tool that you're gonna really need if you're assembling any of our aircraft is a good quality screwdriver. Now this one does have the driver heads you're gonna need also in order to finish this. If you want this exact same one you're gonna be seeing me assemble this aircraft with, it will be linked down in the description. This is our Benchcraft screwdriver set. So this one is optional. You can use your free wing glue if you want, just a little bit of tack on it, but on my spinner, I like to put a little bit of thread locker on that screw before I put it in. You also need a crescent wrench. This is used to put the prop nut on the front of the aircraft, so make sure you have one of these before you start your assembly process. And finally, I really like the Benchcraft magnetizer. I use this on a lot of our projects here. If you haven't got one of these, you can take any screwdriver you want, you put it in and out of it, and then it's a magnetic screwdriver so you don't have to worry about dropping the screws as you put them in the aircraft. Then if you want it unmagnetized, you've got the other side, you just push it in there, then you're unmagnetized. These are really handy. All right, for step one, let's get the Havok Racer up in a flight stand. This is gonna make it way easier to assemble this aircraft. At the time of checkout, if you wanna grab one of these, they're pretty darn cheap here. We have the Ernst manufacturing stands and the Benchcraft stands available right here at MotionRC.com. If you put your model in here, you're not gonna damage it. It lets you put it upside down and keep on working on it. Now, once we have it in the cradle, let's pop the battery hatch off of the aircraft, and you're gonna see two 1.5 millimeter Allen key screw heads in there. We need to go on and loosen those off of the servo horns in order to make it where we can slide those in and out. Once we've done that, let's go on and move to the tail section of the aircraft, and what we need to do is take the carbon spar, slide that in where our elevator halves are going to join. Then take our two elevator halves, slide them onto the carbon spar, lining up the plastic receiving point at the back of the elevator. You will see that plastic receiving point needs to click together. Take your time with this and do not force it. Once you get this in the right angle, they will just snap together nice and easy, but if you try and force it, you could break this. Once you have the two elevator halves completely seated, it's time to take 4 of our small screws shown here on the screen, and we are going to take those with a Phillips screwdriver and put them down into the elevator halves. What I did notice is on your second elevator half, you may need to push a little bit while you're trying to guide your screw in the first time until you get them to bite. Then you can take them the rest of the way down. Once you have all 4 of those screws installed, it's time to turn the aircraft upside down, and we're gonna get our actual linkages attached to our control horns. So in the package, you're gonna find a baggie of screws with nuts on them. This is the ones we're going to use to put our ball link clevises together with. Now, for the sake of this video, I put all of mine in the outermost holes. As you're flying, if you'd like less throw or more throw, you can adjust these in time by moving them in and out of the holes. But for now, that's how I've set up all the Havocs I've flown in the past, and they've all flown really well like this. So in order to do this, it's really simple. We need to take the ball link clevis, pass the screw through it. You're gonna see there is a flat side and then a side with a bigger receiving point off the other side. That's gonna actually go in towards the control horn. Once we have that lined up, we're gonna pass the screw through. Then, if we have a pair of forceps, you can hold the nut up against it and then run the screwdriver on the other side to get that started and take it all the way down. They're pretty small, so you don't need a big wrench here to actually hold them, so the forceps will normally actually hold them. We need to do this for both the elevator and the rudder control horns while we're back here, remembering that we loosened them off, so after we fire it up, all we have to do is make that final adjustment using those inside portions. Okay, now that we have the tail assembled, let's move on to getting the wing on the aircraft. It's pretty simple. Grab your wing and the Y harness that was included in your kit. We now need to actually line it up, yellow to yellow, plug it in. Make sure you have these the right direction, or you will have to take the wing off if one of your servos doesn't work. Then check the other side. Once again, yellow to yellow, plug them in. We've got all that good. We're gonna hold the wing up above the aircraft and pass that wire down through the hole made in the bottom of the fuselage. Once that's complete, we can go on and slot the wing on. Make sure you're not forcing the wing. If you're having to force it, more than likely you have a wire pinched in between it. This should just kind of snap down and be about a perfect fit on this model. Once that's done, we're gonna take the 4 machine screws and we are gonna install them into the wing. These are going into brass receiving points, and that's why we're using these machine screws into this. Okay, now that we have the wing installed in the aircraft, let's turn it over, pop the battery bay open, and this is a great time to put this fiberglass tray into the aircraft. What we need to do is bring all of our wires up together and bunch them up. Then slide in this tray to where you match up the 2 holes at the back and the 2 holes at the front. Once we have everything how we like it, you're gonna use the same screws we used to install the elevator to install this into the aircraft. Then the front section uses 2 very small screws. Line them up and get them screwed down. Once all of that's completed, it is time to actually get our receiver in the aircraft. Now for my situation, I used our 4-channel ELRS Radio Master receiver in our aircraft here today, and I'm going to be using our TX16S transmitter available right here at Motion RC. Now, if you're interested in learning on how to actually set up that transmitter, we do have some quick tips on how to use that exact radio. But for the time being, this is set up as a standard aircraft. It just has ailerons, elevator, rudder, and your throttle. And if you choose to use it, you can use a 5th channel with thrust reverse. Now, I'm only using a 4-channel receiver today, so I just won't plug in the thrust reverse. It's a belly lander airplane. I really don't need it. Once we have the receiver in the model and powered up for the first time, we're gonna make sure that all the control surfaces work, and once they do, we know they're all centered. At this time, we can actually reach down with our 1.5mm Allen key screwdriver on top of the elevator and the rudder servo and tighten these up, making sure to hold the control surface in its neutral position when we do this. After that's completed, it's time to actually put our control horns on the ailerons also. And the reason we waited until right now is I wanted the aircraft powered on and our servos in their centered position before we can put our control arms on. So on the control arms, you're going to just key them into that top hole position, then take the white clip, put it on and reach it around, snapping it together. That will snap it onto the control horn. I have seen some guys that like to take some fuel tubing and put it on here just for some extra security, but I've never actually had one come apart myself. Then once we've done that, just like the control horns on the back, we're gonna take another one of those nuts and screws and we're gonna push those through. Now, what I will tell you is take your time here and you can screw the ball link in and out in order to make your control surface exactly neutral before putting your nut on at this point. Once you have everything setting nice and neutral, again, take your nut, screw that on there, and that's gonna be all done. Okay, so at this point, what we wanna do before we put the prop on the aircraft is leave it powered on, and we wanna check that our dual rates and expo are the correct things, and that all of our control directions are the correct way. So if we need to reverse anything, this is the time to do it. In my situation, I did need to reverse the rudder and the ailerons on my TX16. The next step would be to set up our dual rates and expo. So for my aileron and my elevator, I have 100% throw in my high rates with 30% expo. For my mid rate, I have 75% throw with 30% expo. And for my low rate, I have 50% throw with 30% expo. Now for my rudder channel, I have 100% throw all the time with 30% expo. I don't feel a need for a cut on that channel. Once you have all of that completed, it's time to actually get the prop and the spinner on the aircraft. This is always the very last step in assembling in a model because we don't want that thing coming on and hurting us during this assembly. All right, pilots, so up to this point we've been assembling. Now I'm gonna do a little quick PSA. This prop is turning some serious RPM. So if you don't already have one of our Benchcraft prop balancers, I highly recommend you get one when you're getting any of these prop driven planes because a balanced prop is gonna make this aircraft fly better. Now to use this, you set it in there and you simply put it on its side like this, you let go, and the side that's heavier will go to the bottom. And I like to just grab it. I know that this blade needs a little bit of shaving. I just take an old hobby knife that's kind of dull and I scrape a little bit. Some guys like to use sandpaper, which is fine. I just finish mine off with the sandpaper. And it's usually not a ton of material you have to remove. And the further out you take the material off, the less you have to take off. So you want to try and keep it out here on the leading edge of the blade to the most of your ability. Ta-da! And that is how you balance a prop for your airplane. Now we're ready to actually install it on the Havok. So at this point, let's unplug the battery, let's get the aircraft back in the stand, and what we're gonna need to do is unscrew the nut that comes installed on it, take the washer off, then take your metal back plate for the spinner, slide that on first, then your propeller will slide on, then install the washer onto the front, followed by the nut. At this point, we're gonna take a crescent wrench and tighten that up. Once we feel it's good, we're gonna move to the spinner, slide it on. You may have to finagle this just a little bit until it pops all the way closed. You'll feel it actually positively click into the back receiving point of the prop nut. Once you have that, you're gonna take one more of those same machine screws that are used on the wing, and I put a little drop of Loctite on the end of mine and then thread it in until it was tight. And at this point, you have this model completely assembled. Well, pilots, this is a great update to the Skynetic line. I know the original Havok was really popular, but now to have two more colors available, so if you've got some buddies you fly with, y'all can all get a different color now, see them in the sky, practice some formation, racing, have a blast with these. Now, I also want you to know the original version of the Havok is not going away right now, so if you liked the silver and green paint job or you need parts for that aircraft, it is still available here at Motion RC also. This is just in addition to having that aircraft already. Well, pilots, I'm super excited to see these Havok Racers out at the fields and in the pictures of Motion RC's Facebook customer community, Hobby Squawk, all our different social medias. I know guys are gonna have a blast with this aircraft. It is so much fun to fly this one with your friends. If you haven't experienced one, I highly recommend you do. They're available right here at motionrc.com as always. And until the next time, whether it's air, land, or sea, you can get it right here at Motion RC. I'll see you in the next video, guys. Bye.